Hello and welcome to the 2017 Institute of International Finance annual membership meeting, taking place alongside the IMF annual meetings. I'm joined now by Tran, who is the Executive Managing Director of the IIF. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, this is the first day, and the first session of this year's meeting covered the G20 Compact with Africa. We saw finance ministers from Rwanda, from Cote d'Ivoire, from Ghana. Also, Christine Lagarde spoke during this session. For you, what were the key takeaways from this session?
Many key takeaways. Number one, it is a program constructed not as sending aid from the public sector to those countries, but basically designed to mobilize investment from the private sector, both domestically but also internationally. And I think that is the right emphasis. Number two, very high level of ownership by the countries involved, because they themselves evolve the policies that they commit as part of the compact to do their part in exchange for support and assistance from the G20 countries and the multilateral development banks. And last but not least, the sequencing of the policy, emphasizing development of financial system, capital markets, and so on, in my view, is the right approach, and it should help to improve the economic potential for those countries, okay, if they implement all the measures.
Because you mentioned capital markets there, and you did give a short speech on Africa's sort of capital markets development. And obviously, in recent years, we've seen some promising reforms. We've seen changes to sort of back office infrastructure. We've seen changes to regulations around institutional investors and so on. Moving forward, what needs to happen to really progress and advance Africa's capital markets to the next stage of development?
Right. Given the fact that many countries are small in scale, the financial sector is still underdeveloped, and the capital markets is very small, low market capitalization, low liquidity. I think it is very important and practical for them to pool resources to push forward regional financial integration and financial markets. And there's good example for that in Western African countries, where they have a joint stock exchange for 8 countries, which has been doing pretty well. So they need to extend more members, more products, and open up for international investors as well.
And are you encouraged by some of the early steps being taken so far?
So far, the steps are practical, moving in the right direction, and I think that if they stay on course, they will get good results.
Okay. Now, what role can Africa's capital markets play in issues around financial inclusion, for example, and just how important will they be moving forward?
Right, both the financial system, banking system, capital markets, but also mobile technology platform should be used together to combine to offer solutions to a majority of people who are not covered by the banking system at the moment. And one example that they can learn from is right in their neighborhood from Kenya, where M-Pesa has been developed for 10 years now reaching 30 million users in 10 countries. And I think that is a very good example that they can examine and use it as a template.
Okay, Hung, well, it's an important story and one worth paying attention to down the line. So
they should, and they can really look at their neighbors and learn from each other and persist in what they plan to do, and eventually they will get the benefits.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.